أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. You're listening to Ramadan special broadcast EAVA FM 102.5 FM with myself Fatema, Amrin and Sister Salma. Assalamu alaikum Sister Salma, welcome, thank you for joining us.
Alaikum salam.
And Sister Amrin, we've just literally jumped from the children's hour to our voice show and switched seats.
Alhamdulillah.
And inshallah, yeah, so you're listening to the Ramadan special broadcast on EVA 102.5 FM. The number to call in is 0116-212-9324, or you can text us on 074-509-25084. And inshallah, our discussion today, our views on our topic today is what we eat is what we are. You are what you eat. We are what we eat. There's so many ways. You are what you eat. And the phrase you are what you eat is literally true. Literally. Yes. Nutrients from the foods you eat. Food provides the foundation of the structure, the functioning, the integrity of every little cell in our bodies. Our skin, our hair, our muscles, our bones, our digestive and our immune system, and our brain, and our heart, and our mind, everything the way it works. And just the way, if you put petrol or diesel in a petrol car, it'll only get you to a certain destination. Yes. So just as a petrol car cannot reach its destination on diesel, similarly, it is very difficult for a Muslim to reach, or any humans, I mean, anyone to reach. Let's talk about Jannah when fueled by haram or the wrong kinds of food that we're eating. I mean, it just doesn't allow to function. It doesn't allow us to function to the best ability that we're able or capable of, isn't it?
Yes.
We need to put the right fuel in our bodies.
The right fuel in our bodies. That's perfectly fine.
SubhanAllah.
So the reason for this is haram nourishment creates haram, and not healthy, not good nourishment creates the inclination towards haram in the body and removes the inclination to worship and obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we are so particular regarding filling our vehicles with which merely takes us from A to B with the correct fuel, we should be even more particular about filling our bodies with which need to carry us to Jannah with the right kind of foods. I mean, that's the ultimate destination, and that's what we're trying to work towards, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And
one of the things that Allah will ask us is how we looked after our health.
Yes.
It's an amana, isn't it?
Absolutely.
This body is our vessel, and Allah's going to question us for each and every, from how we use our tongue, for how we use our eyes, our ears, what we put in, how we looked after the organs that Allah has given, because everything in order should be worshipping Allah, isn't it? Everything in our body.
And anything that takes you away from worshipping your Lord is bad for you.
Absolutely.
And, there's a particular ayah, or hadith, about gluttony, and it's narrated by Aisha radhiyallahu anha, and may Allah be pleased with her. It said, the first calamity of this nation after the Prophet's death is fullness of their stomachs. With their stomachs became full, and they became obese, and their hearts weakened, and their desires became wild. This is in Bukhari. I mean, it is a hadith, but they say it's a weak hadith. But how many hadith do we have about gluttony? And
yes. There's one more, but yeah.
There's so many.
Absolutely, there's so many. And in Surah Baqarah, it says, O ye people, eat of what is on earth, halal and tayyib, and do not follow the footsteps of the evil one, for he is to you an avowed enemy.
I was listening to Nouman Ali Khan, Ustad Nouman Ali Khan, on YouTube, and he gives a beautiful talk about Ramadan. And he says that essentially everything man needs for his body, for his nutrition, comes from the earth.
Absolutely.
And everything that he needs for his soul comes from Allah. And two different types of nutrition, but at the same time, they sustain us. If we're spiritually ill, that can affect our health completely.
Yes.
So it's all intertwined. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible how our bodies are made up to function, let alone how the spiritual side affects us as well.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you there. I mean, one thing I want to, there's a few topics, obviously, a few sides to this that we want to all touch on today, and we've only got an hour. We do a good job of knowing what's halal and what isn't. Yeah, a lot of people, majority hopefully do. But I wonder if we're as diligent when it comes to the tayyib.
I'm not sure if we are doing such a great job of eating halal food.
Yes,
because there
what
are
is
so
halal?
many debates about how the animal is brought up,
Absolutely.
how it is looked after, in what conditions it's killed. I saw a video the other day of a chicken, and people say, "Oh, I only eat chicken," and then they squeeze the backside of the chicken, and all this excrement comes out. How clean are we?
Yes,
It was incredible. I
That's
just
the thing,
couldn't
it's the
believe it.
purity, isn't it?
I thought, will I ever eat chicken again after seeing that? And we shouldn't be eating the blood vessels. We should be, devein. We should be
It
making
should be
sure.
deveined.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we doing that, or are we just washing it and cooking it as it is?
I think everyone should go to farmland and raise their own, and and we'll be in a better
It'd
world.
be amazing. It's always my dream.
Something
but
that's one of my dreams.
I'm
to
going to spend a week on a farm in at the end of June, and it's an organic halal
coming with
farm
you.
in
I'm coming with you
Oxford.
Let's take everyone with us.
And I'm
Listen
so
to us.
excited about it, and
Definitely.
inshallah we'll get there. Inshallah, welcome.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. It's
But
really important to know.
I want to see how they're doing everything. I want to learn from them.
Absolutely.
And one of my dreams is to have a goat farm, because goats are supposed to be the happiest animals on the planet.
They are.
And they're brilliant to make people happy. So just imagine.
Wow.
And I think in Leicester there are so many people who are concerned about organic food and doing everything correctly. I'm on a group of women who do that, and there are many people in Leicester who want organic food, and they want everything about it to be halal. And I think we should have a farm. We should have a farm in Leicester. We should be able to get, the milk, the eggs, everything. Let the children see how things are done.
So
I
important.
would
Inshallah.
love to see that. And I've met many women who say, I just want to have a farm. I'd love to have a farm. But what are we doing about it?
But then this is the whole
It'd be
problem.
lovely to have a community farm
We
even.
need to, everyone needs to, it's not just keep talking about it, but actually do something about it. That's a whole...
It's hard, isn't it? I think people think
Inshallah.
about it. A lot of people, like yourself, myself, yourself. I mean, we're all
concerned.
We are concerned, and
Yeah.
we try and make little different changes in our own homes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, how much are we ready to? It's like a whole chain. It's like we can't just go to the shops and buy something organic and something just normal. It doesn't. It's a whole way of life.
Yes.
It is.
It's a whole way of
thinking.
life,
Yes.
and it's part of it's Islam.
Yes.
It's not just Islam is not just about, we're not just told to be a certain way in Ramadan or any other festive occasions. It's a way of life throughout our whole lives.
Yeah.
What we
Subhanallah.
consume, what we are, what we do, what we be.
I have an interesting fact.
Yes, excellent.
Prophet Muhammad
Sallallahu
sallallahu alaihi
alaihi
wasallam
Islam.
ate about 2 kilos of meat a year.
Yeah.
They
Wow.
hardly ever had meat.
Yes.
I don't think it was even a year. There was actually a
Maybe less
hadith
than
that
that,
was
yes.
advised by, I did a course on the prophetic medicine in Leicester in January, and which we will put the details up on our Facebook page. But I'm sure it was like, 2.5 kilos, which is a leg of lamb. The hadith actually says, which I can't find it, the hadith actually says that in their whole lifetime, that's the amount of meat that
In
they
their
actually
lifetime?
ate.
Oh.
So it wasn't a month.
Wow.
So if you think about it, how often, and we know that scientists, in terms of the way we actually, digest meat is over 18 hours. By the time our body actually digests meat. So if you're eating meat every single day, and if you're thinking about it, in Ramadan, in the short space of time we've got from, for example, just after 9:50 to, depending on when your sahur is, even 1:30, 2:30, whichever. So about 4.5 hours, 5 hours. In that time, you're eating red meat. It's not going to digest by the following day because you're going to eat meat again. So can you imagine what we're doing to our vessel if you actually think about it in the scientific terms, and how that affects our soul and everything else? Because what we eat affects our soul, it affects our emotions, it brings out anger. That's a whole nother topic.
Yes.
It's all about factory
different
farming,
foods
isn't it?
have-
Everything's factory farmed, and like you're saying right
Yeah.
now, that everything that you eat as well, and you're saying that we're eating
Subhanallah.
certain things and they're not even digesting, and we're eating it daily.
Yeah.
And we never need it's not about how much we're consuming, it's about if we're eating the right thing to start off with.
Yes.
Are we finding out where the meat is, how is that meat coming? How is the animal raised? Was the animal looked after? Where's our milk coming from? Is it naturally giving us milk, or is it being given induced
Yes.
constantly with certain steroids and antibiotics to produce the amount of milk and meat that we all are? The demand is so high, and the quality and the quantity, to get the quantity for the demand, the quality is being
Yeah. I come
Subhanallah.
from a farming family down in Cornwall. My mother My mother was Cornish, and my auntie was married to a farmer. And every summer we would go down for 5 or 6 weeks and spend time on the farm. And I used to follow my uncle around like a puppy. I used to go do the milking and feed the animals and all sorts. And they're not Muslims. They're my mother's family, and they used to keep pigs and all sorts. And my father persuaded them not to keep the pigs, and he did actually stop farming in pigs, alhamdulillah. And but the milk and everything, and with the mad cow disease, farmers were afraid to tell anybody if they had a cow who was suffering, because they would be penalized.
Yeah.
And they were being subsidized by the government, because the price of milk was subsidized so drastically. They would get pennies for a litre of milk, literally, and we pay £1, £2.
That's a whole other ball game, because it's such a conglomerate entity now. What we're getting is not, obviously we know it's not organic, it's not fresh, but the way it's reared, as we've said.
It's not even real anymore. It's not even about organic, right?
It's just all synthetic. It's so synthetic.
Yes.
And I'd just like to say thank you to our Facebook listeners. We've got Sister Sumaya and we've got Sister Shenaz. Please tune in. We are on Our Voice with myself, Sister Fatema, Sister Salma, and myself. We are talking about you are what you eat. And I think it's a perfect time in this month of Ramadan to talk about how the effects our soul in terms of where we're at, and the effects it can have in terms of your long-term effects as well. So we want to hear from you, inshallah. We are on Ramadan special on EAVA FM 102.5. We are on www.ramadan.fm. We are on 0116 212 9324. Text number is 07450 925084. It'd be really good to get some text messages at least. We are here till 6 o'clock, inshallah. We've got just over 11 minutes for the break. So we'd like to see how much we can get covered, inshallah, in this first half. But it'd be really great to get some text messages. See what I want to hear from our listeners. What are you trying in terms of where do you go to get your organic stuff? Do you go into Leicestershire? Do you go further afield? Do you get it? Do you order it online because somebody's 100% and you know exactly their stuff, where it's coming from? There's so many organizations out there. But I to be honest, I don't know. There's so many, and
there's so much information.
It's hard to trust, and not being bad, but until I've tried it, I can't vouch for somebody.
I was talking to my butcher last week, and I said, it's so wonderful that you've got a sign in your window for organic chickens, you know. This has been in need for tens of years. To see something like this, especially when we see these caged chickens and deformed chickens and everything. And all the chickens that are injected.
Yes.
And he was telling me, he said, Muslims are the biggest downfall for what is halal and not halal, because they want what's cheap.
Yes.
If you tell them it's halal and you tell them it's cheap, they will buy it. I remember the FMO was saying 20 years ago, 80% of the meat in Leicester cannot be accounted for. The slaughterhouses can't account for why Leicester's got so much meat.
Yes.
And it's the responsibility of the butchers whether they say it's halal or not. But at the same time, we can do our homework. We are more aware these days. But I was asking him about the halal chickens. And he was saying, chickens are injected. Chickens are... It is important to have organic. It's not so easy to get hold of it. He said, but we've been established for so many years. We've always had a very high standard. Our prices are slightly higher because we maintain our standard. We've been to the slaughterhouses. We see how everything is done. We can promise our customers that they're getting what they're paying for.
Absolutely. And also, I remember previously when I was actually buying organic chicken, and if I'm, when you enjoy something in the sense that you're trying to make a difference of eating clean, you're telling people about it, and then you tell them, okay, they ask you, how much is it? And then you say, okay, an organic chicken is about £15.
Yeah.
A good size, it's quite a big one.
Chickens used to be a lot bigger when I was a kid.
And then it's okay, we'll stick to the chicken. The thing is, I also noticed when you eat clean, when you're eating the right chicken that's organic, that's been cared for, that's been grown, that's eating well as it's, while it's living. When we eat that chicken, our, the cravings we have to eat meat actually subside as well. So we were having chicken once a month in my house. That's because you didn't feel the need to have it every day. So yes, you think you're spending more, But what it is doing at the same time, it's subsiding the craving of wanting meat every day or whenever, however often people have it. And you're already reducing your cost, and in that way anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's on the meat side. It's not just purely got to do with the meat, though. It's looking at the purity of all our food, where it comes from.
Yes.
Knowing that the way our fruit
Including
and veg
fish.
is, including fish. I mean, so much now when you go to buy fish from local stores, farmed fish. So the farming industry, in the sense of industrial farming, of all cattle, fishes, everything, even the veg that we eat nowadays.
Yeah.
Do we do any research on how that's being grown? We think, okay, we're eating fruit and veg all day, but we should even look. It's not just about the meat. We should look at the background of our veg, where it's coming from as well, how it's being grown. Are we looking at the local farmers, local people that are working and producing them, or are they organic, or are they just being generated and made in general, factories where it's all sprayed?
Yeah, this is what I was just going to come to. When we go to the supermarket, isn't it the natural eye, because the way we've been conditioned is we'll see fruit and veg which is nicely packed, it's shiny,
Colours, shiny,
and it's bright, right? So we automatically, as human beings, we have been brainwashed to go for that. But naturally, if you look at fruit and veg, if it's done naturally, it won't have a gloss on it, but the color will be so deep. Like if you notice, as to our listeners as well, that when you go traveling, you go to places like, I'm not saying Islamic countries only, I'm saying wherever you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you go to places where they've got agriculture, and it's such a rich country in terms of the agriculture, you will see the color of the food. I'm saying, like when I went to Palestine, I went to Jordan, I was in Turkey recently. If you look at the fruit and veg, and even from the herbs, like the parsley and the coriander, just laying a salad, and the tomatoes, how big and fresh they are and juicy they are, you'll see the color
and tasty.
You don't, there's no wax, there's no sprays on there, there's no fake stuff. Like, because we used to go into the markets, and I always like to go into the markets. I like to know what I'm getting. Definitely. And alhamdulillah. But if you just notice the difference, and when we go to the supermarket and the way we buy, what we're not given a choice to get organic. Do you know what I mean? So I'd say support your local market. That's one thing, 100%. We have a huge Leicester market. Go and support them, Personally, for me, that's what I've known from a young age. Support Leicester market. Support our local small businesses who
know where it's coming from.
Where it's coming from.
Definitely.
And you're not getting ripped off. It's real stuff.
And people say that doesn't last long enough. In 2 days or 1 day, it's gone rotten.
Yeah, that's because he hasn't got poison in it. That's why. Subhanallah. He hasn't got all the preservatives.
Exactly. And there is a big push out there
and
for all these
freeze-dried nectarines and... Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Yes. Subhanallah.
There is a big push out there for all these diets and eating raw and going for clean whole foods instead of just picking up out of, chips and a packet, a kind of Coke or something.
Yeah.
And some people say that it is just the craze at the moment. But it isn't. Isn't this actually close to what Islam is saying, and their purity, and therefore it's something we should be striving for as a whole. It's not just pick and ping, and it's something we should be doing.
It's a whole way of life, subhanallah. Like,
as a whole,
we have the prophetic diet. We don't need anything else.
Absolutely. I mean, and I was going to mention, but we've got about 5 minutes left, so maybe we should touch that topic.
Yeah.
But the traditions of Prophet Muhammad teach us to cherish good health and realize its true value as one of God's countless bounties. And there's a ayah from the Quran. And when your Lord proclaimed, if you give thanks, I will give you more. But if you are thankless, my punishment is dire. So Islam's holistic approach to health includes treating our bodies with respect and nourishing them with not only faith, but also with lawful nutritious food. Yeah. So it's not just, like you said, it's not just for the soul and for the hereafter. It's for our food and the way we look after ourselves.
Yes.
For our energy. And things. Sorry, I just got a message coming up there, but it's not
okay. Jazakallah khair to all the Facebookers, mashallah. We have a few. We want to hear from our listeners. So we're in Ramadan special with EAVA FM. We have about less than 5 minutes to go before the break.
Yes, and we have nutritionists and doctors and
all
all sorts.
More out there, isn't it,
dietitians out there. If you want to contribute, then we'd be more than happy to hear from you, because we're not experts. We're just interested.
And I think we need to maybe have another show on this.
Passionate, definitely.
Yeah, I think we may need to have another show on this, ladies, because there's so many things we need to cover.
Absolutely.
So we'd like to hear from you, inshallah. So we're on, just even send us a text, inshallah. We're on 07450 and we're on 2129324. Please Facebook us. Thank you to all the Facebookers so far. We will read them after the break, inshallah.
Definitely. And as I was just reading, a major part of living life according to the Creator's instruction is implementing a suitable diet. So choosing wholesome foods, and avoiding the unwholesome is essential to a good health. And God says in the Quran, eat of the good things which we have provided for you, and eat of what is lawful and wholesome on the earth. So like you said, Salma, everything that we take back is from the earth. And the Quran contains many verses
Yes.
of advice about healthy eating and relate to for the physical and spiritual health. Encouragement to eat only good and pure foods is often combined with warnings to remember God and avoiding Satan. Healthy eating not only satisfies hunger but also has an effect on how well we worship, like we were saying earlier on.
SubhanAllah.
All mankind eat from whatever is on earth. So I've already mentioned this on lawful and good, and do not follow the footsteps of Satan. Indeed, he is to you a clear enemy.
I've just seen a quote because from the prophetic medicine course that I did in January, which we will post up. It's by Dr. Alia, mashallah, which is a 4-week course. Okay, so this is hadith says the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was reported to have said there are two kinds of knowledge of religion and knowledge of the body. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam frequently commented upon the nature and the value of various foods and spices. These comments were noted by his wives and the companions, radiyallahu anhum, may Allah bless them, and remain available. They're actually available to us today. But the thing is, how much do we go back to the prophetic diet? Is it that when something is wrong, we're like, oh, we need to fix this because you know what? Actually, I don't want to take any more medication, or I'm so tired of taking medication. I need to change something. Are we reactive other than proactive? You know, as beings, you know, how much are we teaching our children? How much are we?
And that comes back to making it a whole way of your life.
This is
it's not just about a one-day fix it, temporary thing.
It's not just I'm just going to go on a diet for a couple of weeks.
You've got to incorporate it and make it a way of life, and that includes.
True.
Subhanallah.
Yes. Just by drinking lemon water every day, we can prevent cancer.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal. I mean, there are so many foods that if we take them in small doses on a regular basis, they can protect our body from so many diseases.
Pineapple in water. I have pineapple and mint. That's great for inflammation and for you to just detox your body. And
Yes.
it's good for your kidneys as
And
well.
it makes you happy as well.
It does because it's got all the good stuff. Because I love pineapple.
And it helps with reducing weight.
It'll help.
Pineapple.
Well, that's what I mean. It helps you to release your fluids, but it keeps you give you the nutrients that your body still requires to keep you going. You know, I'm one of these people. I'll always have my glass bottle, and in there is either pineapple or mint or cinnamon, depending on what I need. I will adapt that. But you know, like how much do we do that, and do we do it consistently?
Yep, I've got, since I did the course in January,
Yeah.
I've got my 3 bottles in my kitchen. I put dates in, I put raisins in,
Yeah.
and lemon, and cinnamon I was doing the other day.
Yeah.
And after I'd finished with it, I put it in my tea. It was a long stick of cinnamon, and I made cinnamon tea.
Yeah, mashallah.
And
Alhamdulillah.
Just to remind our listeners,
Keep
you
the
are
colds
on
away.
Ramadan special broadcast EAVA 102.5 FM. You can join us on Facebook Live, and you can call in and join in and share some views on the topic today, which is you are what you eat. We're not just talking about physically, we're talking about spiritually as well.
Yes.
Eating pure. So is it just halal that we're talking about, or the tayyib as well?
Yeah.
So you can call us on
Alhamdulillah.
212-9324, or you can give us you can text us on 07450925084.
Jazakallah
And
khair.
inshallah, after the break we've got more to share with you. But
Inshallah.
please do share your views with us.
Yeah, I'm just going
If
to
you're
quickly
making
do
any
a
changes-
quick. We got a few shout Facebookers. I'm just going to quick shout. Salim Musa, Ahmed Dada, Sue Muhammad, who said Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. Sister Shameen, who's our fellow co-host, Ashik Amanullah, and Sue said, clove in warm water. Jazakallah khair. We will see you after the break. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Ramadan special broadcast EAVA 102.5 FM on the Our Voice show between 5 and 6 with myself Fatema, Sister Amrin and Sister Salma. Today our topic is you are what you eat, physically and spiritually. That's what our discussion is on before the break. We are hoping we have some of our listeners participate with us, share your views, what you think, any advice, what you'd recommend if you've already started to implement and make those changes in your life and in your family. The number to call in is 0116-212-9324 and you can text us on 07450-925-084 and you can join us on Facebook Live as well. Just while in the break we had a message sent. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Listening to the talk, would like to share the incident during the beloved Prophet's time. A very noble companion requested the beloved Prophet to pray for him that all his du'as are accepted. The beloved Prophet advised, make your morsel halal and you will become one whose du'as are always accepted. So I have Jazakallah to our producer Ahmad. He's just sent us the actual hadith as well. I'll read the whole passage. Messengers. So the Almighty has said, O you messengers, eat of the tayyibah, all kinds of halal legal foods, and perform righteous deeds. And the Almighty has said, O you who believe, eat of the lawful things that we have provided you. Then Muhammad said, mention the case of a man who having journeyed far is disheveled and dusty, and who spreads out his hands to the sky. O Lord, while his food is haram and lawful, his drink is haram, his clothing is haram, and he has been nourished with haram. So how can his supplication be answered? And that's from Sahih, that's from Muslim, Sahih Muslim.
Subhanallah.
So that's Jazakallah. And then yes, that last bit says it all. Our food, our drink, our clothing, we're nourished from inside out with haram.
Yeah.
How is he going to accept our du'as? And I've been pondering upon this before Ramadan as well and for a while now, and it comes and goes, isn't it? Because life, like we say, we let it take over when actually this should be our life.
Yes,
in the first instance, right? We make everything else, we give everything else a priority. We don't know, we really don't know that by getting this one big fact right in our lives, everything else will, all of us automatically fall into place. So, what do you think, Sister Salma?
Yes, I think I just wanted to mention something that, sometimes halal food is not available, and there are fatwas that say as long as you say Bismillah and your intention is good, then that makes it halal for them. And in Egypt, I've seen that it's very widespread that people will just say Bismillah when they're in a different country and just carry on eating as normally. Even if there's a halal food available,
But that's the point, isn't it? It's when there's nothing available.
It's about the intention, yeah.
It's nothing, when there's nothing available. It's like when you're in the desert, you can only do tayammum when you know there's no water, and there's fiqh rulings that how far you have to travel water. And if you don't have water to drink yourself, which you're going to possibly die from, then you use that water to drink, and therefore you don't use that to do wudu. So there's rulings behind it, but again, it's when we're using the rulings in the correct way and taking it from a teacher, a scholar who's versed in that particular fiqh ruling.
It's very important to understand the fiqh behind
and not going
the decisions that we make.
Yeah, and not just going to anyone and everyone, because everyone has a specific learning and the teaching what they have seeked in that particular field, and it's so important.
Where we are based, our community, Leicestershire, UK.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, we've got all the facilities. We've got all the facilities.
We hope we have. We hope that the people, that the shops that say they are halal are halal.
That's
we
definitely.
Hope, inshallah. But we have to go to people that we know and trust.
100%.
And we have to ask questions and make sure
questions must be asked. Indeed.
Definitely.
And we should, we don't have to go and eat blindly. We should be, if we're putting this into our bodies and if it's for our nourishment, we become so conditioned and ignorant in that sense that we just eat. We go there, we just go to the next shop, eat. We just buy. But what are we doing? Are we thinking about it? And it comes back all to that being mindful, aware. What are we putting into our bodies? Are we even thinking twice?
Yeah.
We just, sorry. Yes.
So these cheap chickens that are injected with water, this water often contains pork and beef.
Well, that's how they fatten them up, isn't it? Yeah. So basically, the weight of the meat, the chicken, is higher.
It's
Therefore,
doubled sometimes,
higher. Well, it's 4 times because I saw a documentary
4
and he said
times.
it's 4 times the amount. And it's been happening for years. It's not something new. It's actually been happening for so
But
many
the
years.
awareness is more is wider now.
Subhanallah.
You know,
But
I mean,
aside from meat and chicken,
yeah,
we
exactly.
need to-
I was going to
think we
talk
should
about
just go
healthy
ve-
diet.
I think we should just go vegetarian, to be honest.
That's personal views, of
That's
course,
me.
and I feel the same sometimes as well. But a healthy diet is balanced with a mixture of all the foods God has provided for His creation. The
Subhanallah.
variety satisfies all the body's needs for carbohydrates, minerals, vitamins, proteins, fats, and the amino acids. Numerous verses of the Quran mention the foods God has provided for us to nourish and maintain our bodies. It is not an exhaustive list of dietary requirements, but rather a general idea of the types of food that maintain a healthy body and prevent illness. So I'm just going to read a few out, and then inshallah, you can say what you think as well. He created cattle that gives you warmth, benefits, and food to eat. That's from the Quran. It is He who subdued the seas from which you eat fresh fish. It is He who sends down water from the sky with which He brings up corn, olives, dates, and grapes and other fruit. In cattle, too, you have a worthy lesson. We give you to drink of that which is in their bellies, between the undigested food and blood, pure milk, a pleasant beverage for those who drink it. There emerges from their bellies a drink varying in colors in which there is healing for people. Indeed, in that is a sign for a people who give thought. And it is He who produces gardens, terrorized and unterrorized, and date palms and crops of different shape and taste, its fruits and its seeds, and olives and pomegranates, similar in the kind and different in taste. So similar in kind, olives and pomegranates, but different, so different in taste. Eat of their fruit when they ripen, and from it the earth will produce grain for their sustenance. So God has also provided us with a list of foods that are forbidden, and apart from these, everything else is considered lawful.
Subhanallah.
So it's in there. I mean, we're talking not only about the foods that Allah mentions in the Quran for us that are, allowed lawful for us to eat, but it's about like we've been talking about for the last half an hour, 45 minutes. It's about finding out where that's all coming from. Right now, in this fast moving generation, this world, everything is mass produced quickly to fulfill the demand, to get the quantity that is required. So the quality is being diminished. Right now, we're not eating nothing real compared to our forefathers, our generations before us, our grandmothers, and then generations before them. There used to be real food around. There was, and now the more we look into it, the more we try to look for it, investigate. If we actually look from where just our wheat, our cereals that we feed our kids with every morning, where do they come from? Wheat.
It's incredible.
Where's the wheat? How is the wheat looked after? Do we question that?
The
We
sugar.
say there's so many issues with our health
we haven't
nowadays.
mentioned GMO yet.
Yes, there's so much.
Genetically
Subhanallah.
modified foods. It's mind-boggling. This is what we're talking about, and then the waxing and the fertilizers and all the things that go with it.
Yes.
And
Subhanallah.
potentially the genetic modification of food is supposed to reduce the need for all the fertilizers and everything. I went to do voluntary work just after I finished my degree on the island of Crete in Lasithi Plateau, if anybody has ever heard of it. It's a plateau in the middle of mountains, and there are 17 villages of people living all around the plateau.
Wow.
And in the center is all farmland. And Lasithi was always famous for its potatoes. And then one day somebody introduced fertilizer. And even though they had the best crop of potatoes in the whole of Greece and surrounding countries, somebody decided to introduce fertilizer.
How lovely.
And then they thought, oh, this is good stuff. Let's use more of it. And wallahi, the whole of the plateau was ruined. The soil was ruined. The whole business of farming potatoes there was destroyed.
Subhanallah.
Everything got up. They already had the bountiful crops, the best potatoes in the country and everything. But they had to find other industries. The youngsters moved away to university. They lost the whole, not just the farming, but the whole community fell apart, which was so sad. And
It's very sad. I mean, this is it. We introduce, as humans, we are answerable to Allah with what we do. And then to make life easy, we introduce these new ways, and then which ruins the actual pure way.
This is it.
The purity of each thing is taken away.
We need to just go back to basics. Literally.
Back to basics. I was actually going to say that
Prophet
my
is
absolutely
given us so much, and we're not using it.
Let's return. I mean, we need to, like, we've got about 14 minutes. So we need to say, how can we make these changes? And we always think that it's not possible because we're here, we're living here, we need to be part of it. We do what everyone does. But we can make a change, can't we, Sister Salma?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Small
in Japan,
changes, small changes of, sorry, what are you saying about Japan?
In Japan, the rate of cancer increased dramatically. And when the Japanese government looked into this, they discovered that it was related to the increase of beef from America. And then they decided to stop importing beef from America completely because what the cows, the bullocks and bulls were being injected with was giving cancer to the people. So they have stopped importing beef completely from America, and they have managed to control the cancer rate in Japan.
Exactly. And then we know subhanAllah, that's amazing. Like that's proof that we can see, and it's all over. You go on any social media, you can go and look at everything where there's so much information out there for us. There's so many documentaries on Netflix that I've seen that talk about dirty food and how honey. There's one program that I only watched the first episode, and it was about honey. How we think pure honey is so pure honey, yet it's not. We're being sold something completely.
Subhanallah.
Oh, the bee movie is fascinating to watch, isn't it?
For kids, for us to understand,
Yeah, Subhanallah.
It's a real eye-opener, the bee movie.
It is, it really is. And people, we all make, not people, including myself, we've all made excuses in the past where it's not easy, what we're going to do, where should we get meat from? It's okay, we can stop eating meat. It's not an obligation to eat meat.
Our body's not designed
people
to.
make it sound, we've made it sound as if eating meat is an obligation upon us. It really isn't. We can do without meat. Yes, it's good for us, there's proteins and things. So until you don't source the correct ones or from the correct places, we can stop for a while. As a joint community, we can make this effort.
Yeah, subhanallah.
Let's help take it back to the basics. So if we stop buying dirty food, people will stop hopefully producing the demand.
Exactly.
If the demand dies, the quantity will have to stop, and then they might start paying attention to quality again.
Yeah,
it's a joint effort.
But we're kept so busy in this rat race so that we don't think about these things.
Exactly, we're kept busy.
It's all, I don't know, a bit of a conspiracy theorist here, but it's all about control and keeping us busy and not thinking about it. But there are circles of people out there who do care, and it's staying in contact with them and being aware of what they do to make a difference in their lives. There's a whole community of women in Leicester. They homeschool, they eat organic, they grow their own food, they filter their water. They're absolutely amazing. They avoid vaccinations.
Exactly.
And
it's
they're caring about their children and the next generations and so on. What are we doing to care about our children's world and our grandchildren's
It starts from
world?
us, because what's going in our bodies is being passed on to our children and then their children, and then by the time we know, it's a complete malfunctioning nutritionless generation.
We've only got 10 minutes, so I'm going to have to jump in, sisters. Okay, so we've got Brother Tariq Islam has joined us on Facebook. We've got Sam John Paul, a regular. We've got, I can't read that, is it Brother Wazir Jazakallah. We've got Sister Nazmeen, regular as well. I can't read it.
Well done, ladies. The subject today is amazing. You're all doing a great job. Keep up with the effort.
Jazakallah khair, sis.
We've got Suli Muhammad.
We got Suli Muhammad saying goodbye to the butchers. We don't advise that. We don't advise that, but we see where you're coming from. Jazakallah.
If that's your
passionate statement. It's a personal choice, absolutely.
Do you know what? I just want to share something from the Prophet, from our beloved Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. They said Allah did not create any illness without also creating the remedy except death. So old age. Allah said that he who lives according to the Quran will have a long life. The origin of every disease is cold, so eat what you desire and refrain when you desire. The stomach is the home of disease and abstinence, the head of every remedy. So make this your custom. So basically, your stomach is your head, basically. That is what we learn. When I
So
did
you're
that,
making your choices.
yeah. So basically, use your head, and everything you consume has an effect on your stomach and your gut. But not only that, it affects your mizaj, so your other temperaments, so your genetic makeup on how you've been made up. So, you know, you in terms of your personality, your emotions, and the way you respond to certain foods in a certain way.
You can't have a one size fits all. You
Yeah.
can't say these are the healthy foods, avoid everything else.
Yeah.
Because I can't eat wheat.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't have dairy.
Yes.
So
I want to do the keto diet. How do I supplement it?
Yeah.
You know, we have to listen to our bodies. We have to
Yes.
understand what
gonna have to try a
illnesses
few
we're
things.
inflicted with. We
Yes.
have to know what's good for us. We have to know, like you say, our mizaj. That's whether
Yeah.
we should have hot foods or cold foods
Yeah,
or
and knowing
dry
because
foods or wet foods.
those foods have a different, like you say, a different temperament than the person. So we are, inshallah, going to do another show on Thursday, inshallah, ourselves, and it will be at the same time at 5 o'clock. So we're going to talk about the actual temperaments and the actual prophetic diet, and hopefully, inshallah, we can get somebody in who's actually well versed on this topic. But inshallah, this is leading on to you know, hopefully where we can make changes after Ramadan, inshallah.
Okay, Brother David Garcia, what makes food halal and okay to eat? Do you think some things like chickens, their treatment makes them unhealthy to eat, halal or not?
That's what we've been talking about.
So we've been talking about halal,
Yes.
and they
Jazakallah, brother.
Yeah. So we're
David
talking
Garcia.
about what the chickens are fed, how they're brought up, are they kept in cages, how are they slaughtered, how young are they when they're slaughtered, what size are they, the ways that they're treated, are they then injected with water which has pork and beef in that water, and it builds up the weight. It actually destroys the content of the meat, let alone making it unhalal. But yeah, I think that, you know, the way animals are reared, we should be rearing them according to how Allah wants to. We shouldn't be cruel to animals. We should never let an animal see another animal being killed.
No.
Yes.
And you know, I saw a video about in India of goats being slaughtered, and they were literally had their heads hooked on a V of wood,
Oh Allah.
and they were sliced off, and then they threw them on the pile. And it was just, it makes you cry to see something like that.
This is why, you know,
And they called it halal.
we need to be aware. But aside from meat, we need to look at what we're putting into our bodies from even the water we drink.
What makes it halal is the item you're eating should be pure from the minute it's born till the time we are slaughtering it, the animal.
Subhanallah.
It should be pure, and that's without purity there is no halal as well.
Yeah, and we're polluting the sea, so what's happening to our fishes?
What's happened to our fishes? So it's about looking after our world and what's within it. And then what we eat as after that is halal, because we have to look after it. That's our duty towards what God has provided us,
Subhanallah.
isn't it?
And
Yeah,
this-
we have a duty to animals, to
We
be
have a duty
kind to animals.
to be kind to animals, absolutely. We are on Ramadan special broadcast, EAVA 102.5 FM. Today we have been discussing You Are What You Eat. And we've been discussing a bit of prophetic medicine and diet. And inshallah, like Sister Amrin just mentioned, on Thursday they will be holding a discussion on just particularly that.
the
because it's
prophetic
such a-
diet, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah. So yes, we've not got about
Okay,
6
shall
minutes.
we talk
6
about?
minutes.
Okay, we've got like less than 6 months. Should we talk about what we've been doing in Ramadan? Okay, in this first Ramadan, I didn't fill my freezer. Well, actually, it's the third year running. However, even when I've gone to iftars, I've really tried to avoid the fried food
Yeah.
and the fizzy
It's hard,
drinks.
isn't it?
And
when
it's
it's in
really
front of
hard
you?
because you know when you go to iftars, not everybody sees that it's actually not good for you. And yes, so I will always tend to go for the fruit. And for me to have a takeaway in fried food, I suffer. Like I really suffer.
Every time I've
find
had a takeaway, it's like, oh God,
I
what did
find
I do?
it really hard, even on a normal day when I'm outside of Ramadan. I'm not very good with takeaways anyway.
I think when we avoid certain foods and then we start having them, that upsets our system
And this
as
is
well.
why I think I've had headaches because the whole of Ramadan I don't normally get headaches, mashallah. And even my sahur time is just dates and milk and like just salad and fruit, you know, not really food as such. That's things that are going to keep me going. But I found that iftar is really hard this year. I love going to iftars because I like
But when you go out,
seeing
then-
other people and mashallah doing the interfaith work that I do. But at the same time, I've been faced with really having to fight my nafs, and it's been really a real struggle.
Tough. It is tough, and that's what it's all about. We got a message from David Garcia again. So buy chickens and keep them in the garden, and then you'll have fresh
Yes.
eggs. But don't make friends with the chickens, or you will feel bad on killing and eating
Oh,
them.
do you know what? I
definitely
agree
wouldn't
with
kill them.
that. Jazakallah khair
wouldn't.
for that, Brother Dawood, because when we were kids, we used to have chickens, right? When I was
We
growing
did
up.
too.
And my dad used to zavar them, yeah? But we used to get the eggs from there. We used to get the but still, as a child, I'm so grateful for my parents instilling that from a young age. But how many of us do that?
We don't, and that's another question.
Subhanallah.
And another thing, talking about before we wrap up, we got about 4 minutes. Like you said, buy your own chickens and keep them. Just killing two birds with one. So you've got chicken and you've got eggs.
Eggs, subhanallah.
And what other changes can we implement? Grow your own veg. I mean, last year I was really into this. Then I realized, oh my God, it's not as easy as I think I was thinking, I'm going to open my whole farm and I'll be having carrots, potato, and I put so many things out like beetroots. Radishes, carrots, tomatoes, cucumbers, chilies, everything grew. But then I knew that I learned very quickly how difficult it is and how much you can maintain it to keep it going. But so another way to improve it is you can even save on costs, and it's not easy. It needs a lot of love. It's cultivating. Obviously, you've got to go out and do a lot of work every day. It needs your time and love
good for
and
your
TLC.
soul, earthing and
Absolutely. So yes, it
Mashallah.
didn't only teach me to how difficult it is, and I mean the reward you get when you
And great
pick
for your
out your
children
carrots
to
and for
see.
children to
Mashallah.
see. But also you're humbling yourself constantly, going out there, getting your hands dirty on your knees, and playing, touching
You're
the
playing
soil,
in the soil, yeah.
playing in the soil. I wanted to say that.
Yeah.
But playing with the soil. So there's so many ways of implementing small little changes.
Yeah,
Try it out, and
subhanallah.
at least then you'll know that. Look, if we don't get to for me, it didn't become a habit. This year I've done much less because I know I haven't got the time to put into what it needs. But then at least it taught me that, wait a minute, if it's so difficult, why have we got so many in our supermarkets so easily? So you question the whole thing as well.
Oh, how quickly it's been tuned
how
out.
quickly it comes out, like how we've got every season's fruit in our shelves nowadays in every local store. How is that possible? I know in those days it used to be like you eat what is season. So if it's asparagus season, you're making sure everything you cook has got asparagus
Eat what's
in it.
in season and eat what's from your local land as well.
Also,
Absolutely.
the other main thing is, with fruit and veg, this is one of the things I learned in the prophetic diet, is things that don't have a seed in, you shouldn't be having. Anything without seed has been genetically
grapes.
modified.
So seedless grapes, I'm guessing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Wow.
they're genetically modified.
We
If
just having this
you see a
conversation.
melon without no seed, you shouldn't be having that melon
Really?
because it's been genetically
They're
modified.
not as sweet anyway. So
And
it's
they're
okay.
not as sweet, and you'll see you'll see the skin, you'll know. But it's those things that we don't realize, subhanallah.
So we should, and it's really, again, it comes back to mindfulness. Be aware. Look at what we're eating. Don't just buy stuff and feed our families on, off that. We're just we're creating generations of new illnesses and sicknesses in our bodies. And there's so many ways you can avoid it. And like we said, anything we mentioned, like we said, certain lemons, drinking lemon or eating dates, there's so many benefits. And I know you guys are going to touch upon this on Thursday, inshallah.
Yeah.
But like we said, it doesn't work on everyone's body. So like, for example, I'm allergic to lemon. If I eat lemon, I swell up. So you gotta go, like you said, go with listen to your body.
Yeah, I'm the same with wheat.
Listen
and
to your
milk,
body and wheat for me as well. Yes. So it's really important that we
But even in bread now, they say it's got hair,
and all
human
sorts.
hair in it.
I'd say get a bread making
think-
machine and start making your own bread, everyone. That's
Yes.
my advice. That's my
Wheat-free.
mission.
Wheat-free
That's my
bread.
mission. Is to start making my own bread.
So let's
Pray
inshallah
we all
make
get a bread maker for Eid.
Yeah, I kind of did mention it to my dad. Okay, we've had a Facebook message saying, Sister Sophia Noreen, Assalamu alaikum, ladies. Jazakallah khair for tuning in. Jazakallah khair for everyone who's tuning in on our Facebook Live. It's good that we're talking about things that matter to people.
It's
Please,
it's an important topic.
it
isn't
is so
This
important.
a very
But you know what? We
topic.
want to hear from you. So on Thursday's show, please get ready to give us your feedback and what you want to talk about as well. But we will be talking about the prophetic diet at 5 o'clock on Our Voices show, inshallah.
And inshallah, just after Ramadan, or now from today, start implying these little small changes in your life and look into it, read up about it, do research, take your time, don't jump into it.
Yeah.
About a year ago, I stopped eating meat.
40 seconds,
because it
Sister
was
Salma.
advised, and then I discovered all the superfoods, and
Yes.
it's just incredible.
It is
Yes,
amazing.
subhanallah.
really,
Once you
really
start
amazing.
opening the one door, you'll have so many doors opening where you'll get confused. But go out there, do the research,
the knowledge.
inshallah.
And
Seek
knowing the
knowledge.
healing of honey and apple cider vinegar and the effects of acidity and
Subhanallah.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah.
So jazakallah to everybody
It's
for
been a great
listening.
topic.
It's been a great
Jazakallah
topic. As you can see, we're all very passionate about it and all working on it. So it's not something we're also implying currently.
Yes.
So inshallah, may it do the same for all of you. And if you've
Inshallah.
never thought about it, may you start thinking about it from today, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Jazakallah for joining our voice with myself, Fatema, Amrin, and